The Timbers are going to the semifinals.
2 wins, 2,500 miles, and 3 days apart, both against teams that hadn't previously lost at home this season, and the Timbers have put the rest of the league on notice. Now it's back to Providence Park, where the Timbers will play 14 of their last 17 MLS games, including this Saturday night against Colorado. Larrys Mabiala and the defense have pitched 3 straight shutouts. He's our guest on Timbers in 30, which starts right now.
This is Timbers in 30, presented by AT&T.
Welcome to Timbers in 30. I'm Jake Zivin. NYCFC hadn't lost since March, hadn't lost at home all season until Sunday when the Timbers beat them 1-0 at Yankee Stadium. LAFC is on a record pace, had won every home game except for 1 draw this season until Wednesday when the Timbers eliminated them from the U.S. Open Cup with a 1-0 win in Bank of California Stadium. On the back line starting in both of those matches, and here with us this week on Timbers in 30 is Larrys Mabiala. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a good run, obviously, coast to coast for you guys and getting those 2 results. How good is the group feeling right now?
The group is feeling very in a great shape. Very happy about the result that we could take in both games against 2 very good teams. So the confidence is very high now. Let's
look specifically at Wednesday night, that Open Cup match against LAFC. It seems like kind of a grudge match, a little rivalry between you guys, and to be able to shut them out at home, their first team. How important was that win? How were you guys able to have so much success?
You know, first, we had, since last year, it's been, like, as you said, like some of a newer rivalry starting. And we didn't like the way they were celebrating, the way they played against us at Providence, you know, trying to dive at the end of the game, like, being so expressive, you know, by the way they won. And we just wanted to make them understand that, you know, it was just a game and we're still a good team and we are going to show them in this one.
You did show them, and you've been showing teams defensively how strong this team can be. What has been the difference from the start of the year to what is now 4 clean sheets in the last 5 games in all competitions?
The first thing is that every single one just stepped up and improved, playing way better than we used to do in the beginning of the season. That is the first key. The second one is like we play more united. Everybody is doing the job the way it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be done, and that's very helpful. It's not only the defense, you know, from Brian. Now I remember a game we played at home against maybe Houston. I saw Diego Valeri chasing down the guy, which something, you know, never happened before. So, you know, this is very helpful, and the whole team is now playing as more as a unity and better.
You talk about that, the honesty in defending, and I was chatting with you about the old school defender, this term, and for you can pass a ball, but first and foremost, when you sat with us on Timbers in 30, when you first arrived at the club, you said, I want to hit guys, I want to win my headers, my tackles. Do you think that's a dying breed, that old school defender, and do you obviously take a lot of pride in being an old school defender and doing the ugly things well?
Yes, I think it is, you know, because right now it's more the time of these fancy guys everywhere, you know, wearing these yellow shoes, orange shoes and stuff, you know how it is. You know, we used to wear the black ones, you had no choice. Yeah, though, I think, yeah, it's a dying breed, and I take a pride to be the guy who's eating and winning my challenges as much as possible.
Before we went on the air here, you made the analogy of the Golden State Warriors in the NBA, and they need Draymond Green with all those flashy players, right? How important is it for the Timbers when you have guys like, you know, Valeri, Fernandez, Blanco, though I know so they can get stuck in a little bit as well, but to have that part of the team as well, more kind of metal?
Yeah, I think it's very important, because you will never win a game without intensity and a good D. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to bring. That's what Char is bringing as well. That's what even Seba's bringing, even if, you know, he's on both ends. You know, he's the guy who's going forward, but as well he's the guy who's eating, always talking and always motivating the guys. So it's very important to have this kind of attitude on the field for a team.
To give behind the scenes for the viewers, the intensity, it is very much apparent on the training ground. And what Gio and the coaching staff do very well is they pit the defenders against the top attackers in the 11. So you'll be coming up against Valeri, Brian Fernandez, Sebastian Blanco. How important is that to keep you sharp as a defender when you come into matches like LAFC, where you're not taken by surprise against top strikers because you're going against them during the week?
Yeah, it's very important and helpful. Hopefully, I didn't injure a guy yet at the training session. But, you know, I'm trying to go hard as well because you know, that's the way I play on the game, and as I say, that you train the way you play on the weekend. So you cannot go in weekdays, you know, going slopey and slowly and like that, and coming on the weekend and just hitting everybody. So you know, you have to keep a certain balance on that, and that's what I'm trying to do. You know, when they bring Brian, with Brian it's easy because he's always the guy who's coming at you 100%. So you hit him once and he's coming back, and Seba as well. Yeah. With Diego, you're trying to be a little bit more careful because he really doesn't like that. And yeah, it's, you know, so I'm trying to do that on training, in the training sessions, and you know, the intensity is not only for me because everybody in the training session are just flying, you know, tackling each other, shouting, and it's fun.
Speaking of training, Giovanni Savarese was back today. He, of course, was in Italy with his family on Wednesday for the game. And I know he came back in right before training, kind of off the plane and straight to the training pitch. What did it mean for you guys to get a win with him away, kind of for him, and obviously he's going through some tough family stuff for him?
Yeah, we really wanted to give this victory to him because we knew that he wanted to be with us, but you know, family is the most important in life, and no matter what you do, the family is the family. So we wanted him to get there and to be relaxed with his family, to enjoy these moments, and at the same time having us, you know, getting the results, so he could come back more happier, even if it's not a happy event, of course, but happy of the way we played, and I think we did a good job on it.
You guys faced Colorado Rapids on Saturday. Let's get into that match, and we start with the Western Conference standings. Heading into that match, the Rapids have had a little turnaround after firing head coach Anthony Hudson a couple of months ago. They're still in last place in the West, but they had 2 points on May 11th and are 5-1-2 since. The Timbers, meanwhile, are up to 9th in the West. They have 2 games in hand on pretty much everybody else in the league. 14 of their last 17 games at home. The Timbers on facing Colorado on Saturday is our Advocare training report.
Now is important for us to continue to stay with our feet in the ground, stay humble, and now another difficult game coming against Colorado, and we have to hopefully continue to gain points because we want to see ourselves above the line of playoff, and hopefully we'll see that, you know, soon enough.
They're a different team, fresh. They got some fresh when they changed the coach, and obviously their players are a little bit more confident, but it will depend about us. It will be about us to perform well, to manage the game, to use the ball for it, and then trying to manage the counters, right, and be very focused on set pieces because they have been very dangerous on set pieces.
Yeah, I think we have to respect what they've done, especially the last 6 or so games. They got a motivated group. One that's gotten results against good teams. They beat LAFC. They beat a lot of other teams home and away. So, you know, we're gonna have to take them as seriously as any other team and hope for a good result. I know our guys are gonna be ready when the time comes.
Our local Ford Store's look ahead is focused on the Colorado Rapids. 5-10-4, 19 points. Last place in the West, but in good form. They fired Anthony Hudson on May 1st after a brutal start. They named former Portland pilot Connor Casey their interim manager and are 5-3-2 under Casey, including a win over LAFC, one of LAFC's 2 losses in MLS this season. Kai Kamara, familiar name, is their leading scorer with 8 goals. Ross, they had a 7-game unbeaten run going until losing to New England 2-1 in a lightning-delayed game on July 4th.
The long game, it was, and a tough one for Colorado Rapids, but what they've done under Connor Casey is they've become a different animal. They've become very difficult to beat, and they've played with a higher tempo and energy into their game. I look at 3 different things that Connor Casey's been able to do mentally. He's freed up these players, and they seem to be enjoying playing again. He's also brought in a couple players. Larrys Mabiala, a big center back similar to the man beside me, Mabiala, no nonsense, wins his headers, wins his tackles. And then he's given other youngsters opportunity. Andre Shinyashiki, the 2nd best player to come from the University of Denver, not Borchers. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you out. So he's revitalized this team. New faces, new energy. and a new mentality. But you talk about freshness with the Colorado Rapids, the freshness with the Portland Timbers. Third game in a week. How important has the rotation been, Larrys, for the team coming into Colorado being somewhat fresh? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, somewhat. Only because we know that they have not been playing for, I don't know, like a week or more than a week already. So it's going to be interesting to see fresh legs against only some tired legs, because we had a good rotation, and I think that the Gio made a good job, trying to rest as much as possible some guys, and but the thing is that we are going to play at Providence, and Providence is a different story. We can play, after 10 games in a row or whatever. When we come to Providence Park, it's another story.
That's the fans. So is that the support? They lift you in those moments?
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing being able to play in front of them, and the way they support us is just unbelievable.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you guys back at home on Saturday night against the Colorado Rapids. Larrys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
The Timbers and the Rapids, Saturday, 8 p.m. from Providence Park. You can watch the match on Fox 12+, where Ross Knapp Borchers and myself will have the call. You can also listen on the radio on 102.9, 750 The Game. And following the historic reopening of Providence Park earlier this summer, you now have a chance to see the Timbers in person. Limited availability remains for select matches, so grab the best seats before they're gone. Your tickets, starting at $23, can be reserved at timbers.com. Coming up next, it is the Breakaway. Timbers.com writer Richard Farley will join us to break down the biggest storylines around MLS and around American soccer. And later on, we'll check in with the Portland Thorns, hear from head coach Mark Parsons about his 4 World Cup winners. PGE's Peak Time Rebates program is giving away the ultimate VIP Timbers fan experience with 4 Key Bank Club tickets to the September 7th match against Kansas City, a chance to meet a Timbers player, and more. Enter to win at portlandgeneral.com/Timbers.
Now back to Timbers and 30, presented by AT&T.
This week on The Breakaway, we welcome in Timbers.com writer Richard Farley to help us assess Major League Soccer and U.S. soccer, and where else to begin in U.S. soccer, guys, in the Women's World Cup. The United States winning back-to-back titles, 2-0 over Netherlands. The final felt comfortable to me. It was a pretty dominating performance, I think, when you look at the whole tournament from the United States.
Yeah, Thorns FC head coach Mark Parsons had a great line in an interview I did with him earlier this week. He said, it never felt like the U.S. had to get out of third gear.
Yeah.
They didn't trail at any point in the tournament. Even the times when, say, Spain or England were able to get an equalizer, you just never felt that the U.S. needed a moment that mattered, and the only moment that mattered was at the end when the final whistle blew. The gap between the U.S. and the rest of the world looks so much bigger now than it did a month ago, at a time when I think everybody thinks women's international soccer is more competitive than ever. I think it says a lot about the U.S. national team that they were able to just be worlds better than everybody else.
What about the gap between the women and the men? Still the headlines. I had you on Talk Timbers. Where do you stand with equal pay?
Yeah, the women need more money. I think equal pay is an interesting slogan, but I think it actually takes a very nuanced issue and a little bit oversimplifies it. At this point in time, U.S. soccer has to make public their financials as part of the organization that they are. The women are making more money than the men right now, and I don't think that's always going to be the case, but there needs to be a framework in place that treats the men and the women in a way commensurate with the work that they do. And I think that's really in all women's sports, whether you're talking about women's soccer, the WNBA, or anything else, that's the main issue. I think if you're looking at the men and you're seeing how they're compensated, it just doesn't seem fair at all.
Speaking of the men, they lost to Mexico in the Gold Cup final that same night, 1-0. LA Galaxy's Jonathan Dos Santos had the game-winning goal there. What'd you make of that match?
I thought it was a great match. Really surprising to me because the tournament itself was pretty bad as far as the quality we saw there.
Yeah, you were pretty down on it, weren't you, the tournament through it all, watching it?
I'm very down on the Gold Cup as an exhibition. I think generally you don't get that many good games in the Gold Cup. I think it's just the reality of the CONCACAF region, to be honest with you. However, we did get a great payoff at the end. I thought the U.S. was very, very good in that game. Probably could have been up 1 or 2 goals early, and I think it's a testament to how far Greg Berhalter has taken the team from before the tournament, where they looked very poor against Venezuela, and you see where they are now. If you look at this in terms of this is a 4-year project to get to the next World Cup, where is the U.S. going to be? Are they going to be in the World Cup? This is a spectacular first step. Now, if you're a hardcore U.S. fan, you're never going to want to lose to Mexico.
I think a big question is who is going to be the presence of the U.S. I know Christian Pulisic, and he's a wonderful talent, but you think of the Clint Dempseys, the Landon Donovans. They had fear when they stepped on the pitch. I don't sense that with the U.S. men's national team. And if I look at Canada, their man, Alphonso Davies, was playing at left back. And so you have a potential star out of position, where the U.S., even though you have Pulisic, I'm wondering who is going to be that fear guy like what the U.S. men's national team has had in the history.
I know if you were Canada's manager, Alphonso Davies would be right in the
wherever you want to go.
Speaking of Chicago, where that game was, Soldier Field, looks like the Chicago Fire are going to be playing there soon. That's kind of the big news in MLS of late. They amended their lease with the city of Bridgeview. It's going to allow them to get out of Toyota Park, $65 million essentially, what they're going to have to pay to Bridgeview. Sounds like they're going to play in Soldier Field. It's not official yet until they can find their own home. I think, I'm from Chicago. This is needed.
You watched the Fire growing up?
Right, I did. It's at Soldier Field. This is needed, right? They had to do whatever it took to get out of that location. It's just too far away from people.
Yeah, this is MLS in 2019. And if you're going to look at ways that Seattle and Portland changed Major League Soccer, here's a great example. The moment those teams come into Major League Soccer, it provides all the evidence that the league needs to say, the idea of having soccer-specific stadiums in suburban venues, maybe it sounded good at the time, but downtown is where we need to be closer to the urban population bases. This is no longer going to be just a sport of suburbia, just a sport of the families. This is going to be a sport that can actually be in the center of everything in these cities, be part of the city's identities. That attitude didn't exist before Seattle and Portland came into the league. Now it's becoming almost a mandate for every team. Chicago's willing to pay $65 million to adhere to that mandate.
It's going to go a long way to bring the fans back on board, because they've had a problem with the organization, with fans, between the front office, GM Nelson Rodriguez, to the fans, and you can see that the fans have spoken by not turning up to matches, but you get them back downtown. You know how exciting the Fire matches were from when you were growing up to watch them then. You get it nice and convenient to downtown. People can roll out of the bars and into the stadium. It makes a difference.
MLS 1.0, the Section 8 as they were known, was kind of ahead of the game. I know the early goings, the Timbers Army, the kind of creation of that. There's a lot of ties there between Section 8 and the Timbers Army. Obviously, the Timbers Army have certainly surpassed that, and what they're doing is great. Richard Farley, thanks for coming on the show in the month of July.
Yeah, thanks for giving me some of Ross's spotlight.
It took it all.
We'll see you next month. Ross's Spotlight is going to continue on, and this show is later on. We have MLS picks. It's Ross Smith versus a Timbers supporter. Ross trying to stay in his blistering form. Next, we'll hear from Thorns head coach Mark Parsons, his thoughts on welcoming back 4 World Cup winners and when you can expect to see them in a Thorns kit next. The Timbers and Danner Boots have teamed up for a new boot collaboration. The limited edition Timbers hiking boot is available online and in all of Danner's Portland area stores. Check out danner.com/timbers for details.
Now back to Timbers and 30, presented by AT&T.
You surely know that the United States won the Women's World Cup last week. It was a thrilling one. It captured the attention of our entire country. They won the final 2-0 over the Netherlands. It could have been more. For Thorns star Tobin Heath, it was her second straight World Cup title. For her Thorns teammates Lindsay Horan, Emily Sonnet, and Adriana Franch, it was their first. The quartet just wrapped up their celebratory tour of the country, which looked awesome. And though they won't be available this weekend for Mark Parsons and the Thorns, it'll be good to have them back.
For our 4 World Cup champions, incredibly proud, and you know we have some regrets that we wish everyone could go further. But seeing the 4 that we've known their journey, a lot of them have clawed their way back into this picture, and to see them being a part of a team that, you know, before those last few games, the semi and the final, this was a collection of individuals that look on the same page in every area of what it means to be a team. To see that to come together and the R4 be a part of it is special, and can't wait to give them a big hug and buy them a coffee.
Well, the Thorns are back at Providence Park this weekend, hosting the Orlando Pride on Sunday at noon. You can get tickets to the match on thornsfc.com. T2 hosting Tulsa last week. T2 was down 1-0 5 minutes into extra time, and it is a reckless flying challenge from Tulsa on Nathan Smith, a penalty kick and a red card for what was essentially a double drop kick. So Todd Wharton at the spot with a chance to equalize for T2. He does. T2 gets a late draw with Tulsa 1-1. T2 is on the road this weekend, playing at the Sacramento Republic on Saturday night at 8 p.m. You can watch the match on ESPN+. Coming up after the break, MLS picks. Ross versus a Timber supporter picking this week's action when we return.
Hey Rose City, Timber Joey and Captain Jack Jewsbury here.
And we invite you to give back to our community alongside your favorite Portland Timbers, Thorns, and T2 players for the 8th annual Stand Together Week.
Since 2012, Stand Together Week has mobilized 5,395 volunteers to provide the Portland metro area with 18,290 hours of service at events benefiting local youth and the environment.
It all starts Sunday, July 28th. With over 30 fun volunteer projects planned, there's something for everyone to get involved in.
So grab your friends and family members and sign up for a project today at ptstandtogether.com/standtogetherweek.
Together we can give, unite, and inspire. Look forward to seeing you there.
Now back to Timbers and 30, presented by AT&T.
Welcome back to Timbers and 30. We end our show with MLS picks, where Ross has got to be the biggest Bradley Wright Phillips fan in the world right now because he turned a result for you and you beat Stuart Roberts based on Wright Phillips' late goal.
It's not just one moment, it's the whole weekend that built up for that time, but it's the groundwork that I put in to beat what I've been told is a very nice person in Stuart, but no mercy from me.
BWP will be Stuart's least favorite player, I think, league-wide. Paul Beck is your opponent this week.
Yeah, and we've got 7 different picks as we go through it all. I think you look at the rivalry week, Toronto at Montreal. Toronto, they're going to be strengthened with the return of Michael Bradley out the door. And Omar Gonzalez, a big centre back. I don't know how much fans have known that Toronto FC have brought him back into MLS. Quick one for Columbus. They are winless in 8 games. And so I think they'll be good enough to grind out a draw. You get into the rivals, the New York derby, the Hudson River derby. New York City FC, they had a tough game midweek. They went to penalties. They lost against Orlando, so it's been a difficult week for them. I've got the Red Bulls taking them.
It'll be the Timbers and Colorado Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Providence Park. On Fox 12 Plus this week and on the radio on 102.9 750 The Game. We will talk to you on Saturday night and then next week right here on Timbers and 30.
Thank you for watching Timbers and 30, presented by AT&T. For more on the club, visit timbers.com.